Alright fellas, we're back in Pokemon Masters, and today we're going to look at the high score event, Ground and Dragon, rerun PokeFair Scout. Is this the first one of these to have 3 characters? I don't remember, honestly. Dark and Ghost had Akari and Cyrus, Fairy Water had Beat and Wally. I honestly don't remember if this is the first banner that actually has all of the, has 3 characters for its rerun. Anyway, whatever. This is a very good rerun banner. I'm not going to say it's like amazing with all the Arc Suit Fair Scouts out right now and Master Fairs they're out coming up, whatever. But this banner for like PokeFair standards is kind of nuts. Rika is a very good ground support. Leon is still a very good dragon character with a lot of utility, and so is Raihan, right? Raihan doesn't do too much damage, or he's not really built to do too much damage, but he's very good with his utility. And all of these characters can have a lot of legitimately good use, even at like low dupes, honestly. So I guess let's just go ahead and hop into it, see what these characters got. And if you're going to be ranking in the high score event, I'd say these characters are good to have. At the very least, Rika is going to be really good to have, I would say, with her enhancement and sustainability. So, starting out with her, this is a god tier support character. One of the best supports, in my opinion, in the game. She's got amazing bulk stats. Let's just look at 150, 6-star EX. 373 in the special defense, 358 physical defense, 816 health, and 276 speed. These are not bad stats at all. Definitely very solid. And with the Field EX roll, because she does have that, she gains the 378 defense, 393 special defense, and 876 health. Very, very good defensive stats. And also, of course, with the Field EX, she gains the ability to set Ground Zone on her Sync move, which is one of her biggest gimmicks, so that's really, really good. She's got Poison Sting for a 1-gauge spammable move, which also can poison, though it's not really something to consider too much, because she doesn't have Hostile Environment, I don't think. Yeah, she doesn't have Hostile Environment, but she does have other methods of poison. X Special Defense all for buffing ally special defense. Her trainer move, which raises ally attack and special attack by 2 and applies gauge acceleration, so she's got that mixed offensive buffing and the gauge management. And then she's also got her buddy move, which is activated whenever she's hit by an attack move once. That's obviously stupidly easy to have activated. And then it never misses. It lowers enemy accuracy by 2, leaves the target poisoned, turns the field to play into Ground Zone, and increases ally physical and special moves next by 2, and it hits all enemies. So -2 accuracy for all enemies, and then AoE poison, and then again that enhancement with the physical and special moves next, and the Ground Zone. So this does give her again 2 sets of Ground Zone via the Ground Zone here, and the Ground Zone on her Sync move with the Field DX roll investment, which is of course worthwhile for sure. She's got her own lucky skill, which is Team Initial Synchro Healing. I mean, Initial Synchro Healing is good, right? For one, you can't even get this lucky skill anymore, so it's not really worth considering if you don't already have it, but, I mean, hey. It exists. Probably just better to run, like, Vigilance or something, though. Anyway, she's got Team Triage Tank 9. We know that this, of course, this, like, ruins quad queues in some areas, right? Where, you know, you can't, you know, you're getting hit, Triage Tank activates, you know, enemy queues with a move, whatever, screws up quad queues, but it's still good healing. This is very good passive healing, and I actually made amazingly very fun use of this in the battle rally with Arcsu, Steven, and Rika on the same team. Double Team Triage Tank being activated from AoE moves is extremely funny, and it's good for team sustainability. Like, the longevity is amazing. Like, if you've seen the Arcsuit Steven versus Argenta battle with Anniversary Steven, you've seen that Team Triage Tank allows you to pretty much heal your allies, like, 40-50% HP for the most part without without having to use like potions or anything like that, which is amazing for sure. So this is good team sustainability. Take hit, 1 of 5 stats down to whatever that, lowering enemy a random stat of the enemies by 2 when she's hit by an attack move. That's what it does. So she's able to lower enemy attack, defense, special defense, or speed when being hit by an attack move, and it's lowered by 2 stat ranks. So the defense debuffs are good for, obviously, offensive enhancement for the team, and the offensive debuffs are good for team sustainability. Speed debuffs are good for, like, preventing the enemy from having a lot of gauge, like in the damage challenge, which you're not going to really use Rika there, but legendary arenas, and also activating multipliers, of course. And then critical squad raising ally crit when her move is successful. So she's got offensive buffs with her trainer move, special defense buffs, she's got crit buffs, she's got accuracy debuffs, physical and special moves next buffs, alongside Ground Zone, all in one move here. So you've got big enhancement, you know, in very quickly, and then also the Ground Zone on the Sync move as well. So she's got very good sustainability. She doesn't have potions or anything like that, but the Team Trash Tank does really help, alongside having Synchro Healing is nice for sure. And then her defensive utility is still really good, alongside being able to buff offenses very well. She's a good partner for Arc Suit Cynthia, because I've seen people say this, or at least I saw someone say this, I don't get Arc Suit Cynthia runs out of Ground Zone. Even if you've got Dust Kicker, she runs out of Ground Zone before she uses her Sync move. The team's got a ton of buddy moves. They end up, and even with her extension, it still does not last from Cynthia Sync to the next Cynthia Sync. The Ground Zone doesn't last. It does not last long enough. So Dust Kicker, a good of a note. It's like, obviously Dust Kicker is good. It keeps your damage consistent, right? But Rika, as a support, for example, is able to maintain that Ground Zone for longer and allow for Cynthia to be able to actually sync under Ground Zone. So that's why I say Rika is a good support for Arc Suit Cynthia, despite the fact that Arc Suit Cynthia can also set Ground Zone and extend it. Rika still provides a lot of good use. Am I saying she's the best support for Cynthia? No, but she is a good one. That is definitely something to keep in mind. Anyway, looking at Rika with dupes, 1 out of 5 she's got pretty much nothing. Stand Shelter and Antitoxin. 2 out of 5 she gets a Group Slap Dash, X Special Defense All NPR, Natural Remedy, Train with NPR, Train with Slippery, Ground Zone Attack Damage Reduction, Potent Toxin, and then a few other things like Poison Guard, Water Guard, and Stalwart. I do have my Rika at 2 out of 5 because she does gain quite a bit more in terms of her utility with this. She's gained speed buffs for the team, which is obviously good, right? Gauge management is not really her strong suit other than the gauge acceleration, so having the speed buffs on top of that is nice. And in conjunction with that, she does have the Train move Slippery for buffing her evasion alongside the Train move NPR, so you can get to up to plus 3, 4, 5, 6 evasion as well, and be able to have easier procs for Group Slapdash on top of having the accuracy debuffs. I do think that 2 out of 5 is mostly relegated for Gauntlet stuff. It does make Rika's sustainability a lot better in the Gauntlet with the special defense buffs, the Slippery as well, and again the Group Slapdash, all of that stuff, or Group Slapdash for gauge management purposes. It does make all of that a lot better in the Legendary Gauntlet. Same thing with the Ground Zone Attack move damage reduction, but I don't think it applies too much use elsewhere. I mean, the speed buffs can be nice, but I'd say that's mostly about it. Plus, I guess, offensive maxing with the Train move NPR, but still, not bad stuff to consider, I guess, picking up here if you do want to, squeeze out a little bit more usage in the Gauntlet, but really probably would just not invest to that level. Don't do what I do. Anyway. 3 out of 5 Rika obviously gains a lot more. She gets X Special Defense All shielded, so she's now able to buff ally defenses as well as buffing special defense. Noxious Hit 9, being able to lower enemy offenses when attacking an enemy that is poisoned. This is a really good tile, of course, for just even better sustainability. It's like Arc Suit Steven, where he's got similar debuffs alongside similar defensive utility. Rika and him are very similar in that regard, other than the fact that Steven's got potions, which makes him like leagues better, and also better defensive stats, so he's even more sustainable. And he's got recuperation, regular synchro healing instead of initial synchro healing. But still, like, you can say in a sense that Rika is a miniature Arc Suit Steven with her sustainability, which is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. Especially when she's more catered to buffing other ground types, where Steven's more just like an Omni support, God tier support anyway. Anyway, whatever. Endurance. I don't think she needs this, but I mean, it exists, right? Being able to endure on 1 HP. Vigilance for crit protection if you do want to run another lucky skill like Adrenaline, Head Start, Mind Games, Defense Crush, whatever you want to run, you can. Team Sharp Entry for buffing ally crit on entry. Don't think it's too valuable of a node, but I mean, it can provide usage if you need crit buffs very fast. First Aid 4 for ally healing, healing for herself. Just gives her more sustainability where she does lack more instant healing, like potions and whatnot. First Aid 4 does help mitigate that, which is good. Ground Zone Extension 5, another good reason to run her with Arc Suit Cynthia is that she's able to extend the Ground Zone that Arc Suit Cynthia sets up so that she keeps it for her sync move. Yes, I'm still going to advocate that she's a good support for Arc Suit Cynthia. Again, not the best, but still really good, because this node is nuts. Extending the Ground Zone does help mitigate the fact that she does not have 2 instances of Ground Zone other than her sync move, right? So she does have the extension on her, the buddy move Ground Zone she sets, and then extension on the already extended Field EX Ground Zone that she sets. So this is very, very nice to have for sure. And then Ground Zone Team Condition Nullification, preventing allies from being inflicted with status conditions or flinch, confusion, and trap under Ground Zone. That's very good, of course, for any, a lot of stages have, like Lucy's Ultimate Battle, they've got poison, so being able to mitigate that poison is really, really good. Which granted, you have to have Ground Zone set up to have it be done, so that does limit team composition. And then, of course, whatever other fights that like the set status conditions, which are tons, right? So this is very, very, very good, or very solid node to have, rather. I do like the Noxious Hit, honestly. I do like 3 out of 5 overall, because it does give her better defensive utility with the defense buffs, the offensive debuffs, the first aid 4 for healing, the ground zone extension for enhancement. I would say these are probably the biggest nodes that she gains, these 4, and then maybe like the condition nullification is pretty good as well. So this is overall like really, really solid 3 out of 5 kit here. The sustainability Rika has is amazing, and the enhancement for other ground types is really good too. 4 out of 5, she gets Trainer Move, Team Brain, Gain 9, buffing ally special moves next when using her Trainer Move. So if you are trying, and also Brawn Gain. Well, let's just go 4 out of 5. She's also got Brawn Gain here. That's a good enough for buffing physical moves next. Just applies even better offensive enhancement, right? Like, not much else to say. This does give a lot more value as well to picking up Trainer Move NPR, so you can get more physical and special moves next, depending on which one you want to pick up, or both, right? So this just further enhances Rika's defensive sustainability that she's already really good at, and now she has even better offensive enhancement as well. That's really, really, really good. And then 5 out of 5, she gets Sync Move, HP Recovery, Medium 2, whatever. It's Recuperation, right? Recuperation 2 for restoring HP by 40% after using her Sync Move. This is mostly just like, hi, I want to do a lot of solos, and, well, probably just duos as well. Like, this is mostly a good gauntlet ability. I don't think for any battle you're going to bring Rika into like an ultimate battle, you're really going to make much use of this, because if you're using Rika's Sync Move, past the first use, whatever, then that's a crazy team you got running, frankly. A team that'd be sustainable by that much. I guess it does work for like Argenta or whatever, because again, similar concept to the Team Trash Tank with Steven, is that he can heal pretty much without having to utilize potions, where Rika can now heal by using her Sync Move. But whatever, I mean, it's a decent enough node. It's decent. It's a decent node. And then Adrenaline 1 for Sync Countdown, nice as well. He could run double Adrenalation, what the hell am I saying? Double Adrenaline. There we go. Adrenalation. What the fuck? Double Adrenaline if you want like -2 Sync Countdown after the Sync move, and then run other characters that can do some Sync Countdown. That's not a bad idea at all, honestly. So yeah, Rika overall has got a great kit. I mean, I would say 4 out of 5 is her sweet spot with the offensive enhancement with Team Brain and Brawn Gain. And then 5 out of 5 can be good with the recuperation, but I mostly think that's limited to Gauntlet utility, which he's already really good at anyway. So it's mostly just for those that are big Rika fans that want to do as many solos or like cheap duos with her as possible, I would say. I don't think the recuperation is super valuable past, in modes other than that. But yeah, overall, a very, very good ground support character. Probably easily the best ground support in the game, right? Like, your competition's Costume Lyra, man, come on. Not that Costume Lyra is bad, but like, Rika's just so much better. She provides so much enhancement to the ground type as a whole that it's really worth pulling for her. I really do believe that. Anyway, next we've got Battle Tower Leon, also known as Alt Leon, who we will be referring to as Battle Tower Leon anyway, because screw that naming scheme. So, Battle Tower Leon at level 156 Starry Access, 486 attack, 222 in both defenses, 813 health, and 558 speed. Man, he is fast. That's why he got the Sprinty X roll, because I know for shit it is not because he does max countdown 1. Come on now. Yeah, he got the Sprinty X roll just because he's fast. This buffs his attack to over 500. It gives him 873 health and nearly 600 speed. So this guy's gauge efficiency is probably cracked just because he is... Good lord, that's a lot of gas. He's a fast bucker. That's funny. I do love this. I do love the speed being that high. Dragapult's fast, but geez, I think this is the first time they've really honed in on that. Well, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. So good stats overall across the board, and Sprinty X, does give him the -3 sync countdown. That's fine. Whatever. He's a tech character, by the way. Let's just put that out there. He's a tech, so tech sprint. Not that we were lacking that combo to begin with. Whatever. He's got Dragon Darts, which is a 4-gauge move, 120 power, but it hits twice. So this is effectively 240 power at maximum, giving him very similar damage to like a Giga Impact type of character, which we all know Giga Impact's very strong. So having Dragon Darts, this is very good. This damage is going to be good. Will-O-Wisp for burn. This is mostly for utility purposes, obviously. Obviously, it's for fucking utility purposes. Duh. What else is it going to be for? Damage? Burn damage? I mean, sure, whatever. It's got Slashing, Breaking Swipe, 2-gauge, 144 power, hits all enemies. It lowers enemy attack, defense, and speed by 1, and it's activated whenever he uses any move, and it can't be deactivated. It's, very simple, obviously. This is a good utility move for being able to debuff offenses, defenses, and speed. Not really something I would use too much for damage, even if it is, you know, like this is his only form of like spread damage, AoE damage, whatever. I would still mostly just utilize it though for the debuffs, not really for the damage purposes. Dragon Darts is far better in that regard. Definitely not a bad move though, for sure. You can definitely make a lot of usage of these debuffs if you need them immediately. And then you have Let's Have a Blast, his trainer move, which raises attack by 4, speed by 1, and crit by 3. Very good trainer move. This the +1 speed on top of it is kind of just, it's like a little smack in the face, or a little, just a little tap, I guess. I don't know. It's funny to see him have this high of that speed stat and then get +1 speed over something like +3 or +6 or something. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. At the passive skills, he's got Piercing Blows, being able to ignore enemy gimmicks. I would say that these debuffs are good for Latios, but which they still are, obviously. Latios uses stored power that hurts like hell, but obviously Piercing Blows, being able to hit through things like Fluid Fortification, Healthy Advantage, Acute Senses, all that junk, it's very, very good. You know, being able to just ignore a lot of enemy gimmicks, though he does honestly have a lot of gimmick check anyway. Again, like with the Will-O-Wisp, he's able to hit through like Uxie and Cobalion. With the debuffs, he's able to go through Latios, right? So the fact that he's got all these gimmick checks, but the fact that he's got Piercing Blows anyway is pretty funny. But this is still good for, obviously, like, Tornadus, right? Being able to actually damage Tornadus is great. He's also got Unfortunate Strike, being able to debuff an enemy stat at random, and it also works for multi-hit moves. So Dragon Darts will be doing 2 random debuffs, assuming both attacks land, which they should, right? And then also Breaking Swipe will be doing random debuffs on all enemies. So on top of the attack, defense, and speed debuffs as well. So he's got a lot of debuffs on him. The Dragon Darts is really good for the debuffs. Again, it counters Latios very well, being able to potentially debuff evasion. It counters any other stage by debuffing like accuracy. Helps his damage with defense debuffs. Helps team sustainability with special attack and special attack and attack debuffs. Whatever else, right? All this stuff is good. Like the debuffs are very, very nice to have there. Just helps out with anything, sustainability, damage, you know, whatever else it may be. And then Impervious, preventing stat debuffs, very, very good for preventing defensive debuffs, because a lot of stages like to do that, preventing speed debuffs, you know, so the gauge isn't, you know, total dog shit. That's also very, very nice. All of this stuff is good to have. Like Leon so far has a lot of good debuff utility alongside a lot of gimmick check type of utility. Like he's got a lot of it, and it still works, and he's got damage on top of all of it. His innate sync move effect is power play. More enemy stats lower, the greater the power of the attack. That's really good, right? You know, 120% multiplier, and the grid does have some good multipliers as well, so he's going to have a good sync nuke. He does also have max moves, max Wormwind, and max guard. Max Wormwind debuffing all enemy attacks, so just even more debuffs and, you know, sustainability and all that stuff. Yeah, I really do like Battle Tower Leon's kit quite a lot. He's got the debuffs. He's got, again, the gimmick check's great. He's checking enemy debuffs by, well, for one, debuffing them, but also preventing debuffs of his own. He's able to do burn for, you know, half chipping, and for 1, chip damage, and for 2, being able to have enemy attack stats. He's got Piercing Blows for ignoring most enemy gimmicks with random passive skills and whatnot. It's all good. All of this stuff is really, really strong for sure. So, and again, the damage on top of it, 240 pretty much if base power damaging option off of a 500 attack stat. That's going to be good, even without multipliers. Which, speaking of multipliers, 1 out of 5 Leon's not great. 2 out of 5 Leon, I literally candied my 2 out of 5 Leon, because I got, if you didn't see the video, I got Battle Tower Leon off of the text select. I didn't actually pick him, but I got off the multi. I was like, yo, this is cool, whatever. I ended up candying that man, because 2 out of 5 actually provides him a lot of multipliers. He gets Burn Synergy 1, Burn Synergy 3, and Confusion Synergy 1 on top of Flabbergast on Will-O-Wisp. This is 50% in total damaging multipliers for investing 1 move candy. This is one of the better modern characters to have a good 2 out of 5 grid. Like, Eriott had a good 1 out of 5 grid because she got Invigorating Hail or whatever. There's a few other characters that got good 2 out of 5s, but Leon is one of them that really surprised me, is that he has a legitimately good 2 out of 5. Like, having Burn Synergy 4 effectively here, and then Confusion Synergy 1 if you do opt to pick that up, is amazing for enhancing Dragon Dart damage. Like, this does give you, that 210 power now, because, you're at 2 out of 5 instead of 5 out of 5, but 210 power, base damage move, you've got a 50% multiplier on top of that, on top of maybe running Critical Strike 2, and that effectively fixes any, DPS issue he may have, because he's got now gone from 20% multipliers to 70%. That's really strong for such a low investment of going from 1 out of 5 to 2 out of 5. Far more surprising to me than, if you were to just have it at 3 out of 5. That's awesome. And then on top of that, he does get max guard, max regen, churn with NPR for potentially more speed buffs or something, mostly just gauntlet food, and also maxing out offenses. That's good too, right? And then again, the Flabbergast as well for leaving the enemy confused. That just helps out with, the enemy potentially hitting themselves in confusion, and also activating the Confusion Synergy Multiplier. He's also got Catalyst for more gauge acceleration for even better gauge efficiency. Most of this gauge efficiency stuff I would call gauntlet food, because this management's already fine, but still, this is all really, really nice stuff to have. The max regen for healing, max damage guard for the damage guard, duh. All of it, this is all really good stuff. The damaging is obviously the biggest part of it for like all game modes, but then of course the utility with max regen, max guard, quick cure catalyst, and Flabbergast is all very, very nice utility stuff for like the gauntlet. And again, this just adds to the Flabbergast adds to the gimmick check with like Yuxi and whatever else, but he still doesn't care because he's got piercing blows. They really kind of built him counterintuitive, but it's not that it's bad. I mean, still having piercing blows and having gimmick check is all really good. Like, no complaints here. Whatever. Anyway, at 3 out of 5, Leon gets max countdown 1. Sure, you just meet in the middle on using your max move, right? Whatever. Train with Berserker, it's just better to run Train with NPR if you're going to go for Berserker. Just reset for Train with NPR. Just don't pick this up. Max Wormwind power up, so if you want that extra power in the sync or the max move. Bronze Sync 5 and Scorching Sync 5. This is 100% in total, easy to activate multipliers, and 120% as the innate with power play. This gives him 220% for Sync Nuke multipliers, on top of, again, having his very high offensive stat, and the 2 Sync nodes here as well. And the Tech EX function, and also I guess -3 Sync countdown on the turn move, just to add an extra. Just butter it up a little bit more. He's got a good nuke. Leon's got a good nuke for sure. Not like the best nuke in the world or whatever. I mean, high Arc Suit Lance, but it's actually, Leon's would be better, but Arc Suit Lance's is more valuable for the rebuff. You get what I mean. Whatever. Anyway, point is, he's got a very, very good, very solid dragon nuke, right? And nothing, no doubt about it. Other than that, he's also got status immunity, preventing status conditions. Just more like gimmick check. Preventing status conditions, that toxic from Tornadus and Cresselia, the paralysis, blah, 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 all that junk. He just doesn't care. That's awesome. And then Breaking Swipe, burned opponent stat down 9, debuffing enemy stat at random when attacking a burned enemy. This gives him not only the 3 debuffs from Breaking Swipe naturally, and the Unfortunate Strike for 4 debuffs, but this gives him a 5th debuff, meaning that the big part of using Breaking Swipe now is for so many debuffs. Attack, defense, attack, defense, and speed, and then the 2 random debuffs you'll be getting out other than that. That's really, really strong. And again, it is AoE as well, so as long as you may be able, burn all enemies, or at 4 to 5 pick up Go Viral on Will-O-Wisp, you'll be able to debuff all enemy stats extremely efficiently, similar to that of a character like Volo, or probably Champion Leaf, right? Though Champion Leaf's got so much more that makes her debuffs a lot. Nuts. Anyway, point being is that his debuff efficiency is really, really strong now. This is a good node if you need those debuffs very quickly, but honestly, I would say it's not too valuable otherwise, just because Unfortunate Strike can cover you a lot of the times, especially being able to be used on Dragon Darts as well. So, that is awesome. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. He does get super effective next, I guess, but we don't even have a Dragon Ultimate Battle to really use this on, but whatever. So, not a bad 3 out of 5. He gets the Sync Nuke nodes, and then he gets a little bit more debuffing utility, and then mostly just a little bit more utility on top of that. 2 out of 5 is a great sweet spot for damage. 3 out of 5 is a sweet spot just pretty much for the nuke. And then we got 4 out of 5 here as well for Go Viral on Will-O-Wisp, and Soften Up 1 for guaranteed crits. Not really too worth going for, I would say, but I mean, if you do need the burn on the enemies very quickly, sure, I guess, but I don't think that's worth a candy investment or just further summoning or whatever. But then 5 out of 5, he gets Punishing Strike on Dragon Darts, and then BOGO 9 on the Breaking Swipe. This gives him better gauge efficiency. Not really something that I think is worth picking up in any 3v3 content, but if you're in like a Gauntlet or something, I do think the Breaking Swipe could be good for that, because Dragon Darts is still a 4-gauge move, still obviously going to be pretty gauge hungry, even on top of having, 600 speed stat and +1 speed or whatever. I think, anyway. I could be wrong about that, honestly, but either way, I mean, BOGO does have a little bit of usage there, I guess. I'm not going to say it's the most valuable node in the world, though. And then Punishing Strike on Dragon Dart's debuffing enemy defense. This gives you pretty much -2 defense because it does hit twice. So if you need to enhance damage extremely quickly and you don't want to mess with random debuffs and you don't want to mess with having to use the lower damaging move in Breaking Swipe, you can go ahead, skip straight to this, debuff enemy defense with Dragon Darts, and get a lot of good defensive, offensive enhancement from that. So that is really good. And this does work well, of course, with his direct DPS options with Burn Synergy, Bronze Sink, Scorching Sink, all of that stuff. So he does obviously get good damage a lot faster from that. So I guess there is good usage of that, but mostly I would say the sweet spot for Leon is 3 out of 5. You get the full nuke with that, but again, the 2 out of 5 does have legitimately good investment too because of the actual DPS. So if you don't care to nuke with Leon and you're mostly going to just be using DPS with him, doing DPS damage with him, then 2 out of 5 is legitimately a good investment, one of the very few investments of modern characters that actually has a good 2 out of 5 grid instead of just being locked to 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, or 5 out of 5. So that is awesome to have. So very, very good debuffer, gimmick check, with piercing blows, the burn, the debuffs, the confusion, the impervious, status immunity, all that stuff. He's got a lot of gimmick check, and then he's also got good damage and a good nuke on top of it. So we really do love to see that. Good all-rounder there. Just not too much, I guess just not too much like sustainability for himself outside of like max regen, right? Like if he had healing, he would probably be a god tier solo character, but he doesn't really have that. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, moving on. I've said that twice. Moving on to Anniversary Raihan, the final character. Probably definitely the worst, in my opinion, the worst of the 3, but still not bad at all, especially relative to his age. He is 2.5 years old now. And the fact that he is 2.5 years old and still being as good as he is awesome. I really do like that. But anyway, his kit is mostly utility focused. He's a tech character, but he doesn't really focus on doing damage or nuking or whatever, which he can nuke. He can, like, no doubt about it, but he's mostly focused on utility. Anyway, so he's going to gain the support EX as well. Also, Leon and Raihan do not have their EX rolls yet. They will be getting it with this banner, so have fun with those investing. Anyway, whatever. So Raihan at level 156 star EX, he's got 394 in both offenses, 210 in both defenses, 800 health, and then 436 speed. Not bad speed stat for sure. And then with the support EX roll, he gains 250 both defenses, 869 health. Very, very solid for his sustainability, which is mostly what you want for this guy anyway, because he is, again, a utility-focused character for pretty much first and foremost. So having more like bulk is better for him than like damage increase or whatever else. At least to me. Anyway, so Twister. He got Twister, which is a 2-gauge move, 20% chance to flinch. Fire Spin, 2-gauge move, it leaves the enemy trapped. Sandstorm, being able to set sand, a big gimmick of Raihan, right? I mean, he sets sand. That's his whole thing. Which is, of course, good for not really dragon allies, to my immediate knowledge. Not really dragon allies so much, other than like Zinnia or whatever, which I don't. I mean, it's worth mentioning, I guess, but whatever, sure. If I end up doing a 1 out of 5 Raihan showcase or something like that, because my Raihan is 1 out of 5, I'll partner him up with Zinnia, all right? And that's about the best you're going to get out of me. Anyway, so the sand is nice, right? The weather setting is good, but this mostly plays into some other passes he has. Not really the fact that he sets sand, but it's more so the fact that he's setting weather. He's got himself a Trainer move, which raises his special attack by 4 and crit by 2, so pretty solid self-sufficiency in buffs. Would prefer if he buffed defenses, but no complaint here. Applies a super effect next to all allies when weather conditions are in effect, so he does apply super effect next to all allies. Good buff to any on-type damage dealing characters you're going to be partnering him with, right? With the passive skills here, Fast Track, probably for Gauntlet stuff is why this is picked up, actually. Anyway, he's got Weather buff, which increases his offenses, defenses, and speed by 30% when weather is in effect. So his 250 defensive stats go to like 300 something. I don't know exactly what, but 300 something, and 30%. What's 30% of 25? 6, 7, 8, it's like 8. So yeah, he gets like 320 to 30-ish defenses when in weather, right? That's good. And of course the offenses as well go up 8 ton, right? They're like up to 400, 450-ish, maybe, give or take. 450-ish offenses is also really good. And then the speed, of course, easily over 500 speed. He's giving all Battle Tower Leon a run for his money there. Love that. So the weather buff is good. Obviously, he gets a lot of good defenses from that. That's extremely good. Gaining the support EX roll helps him out a ton in that regard, making his defenses go up even more. So his bulk is better. Atmospheric acceleration, charging gauge when weather conditions are in effect, just further increasing the fact that he wants weather. Pretty much a gimmick he has. And then Team strengthening status, increasing physical and special moves next of all allies when the user's Pokemon uses a status move. This is another big gimmick of Sandstorm, is that not only is he getting the defensive buffs, is he able to apply super effective next, or apply the gauge acceleration, whatever, he's also able to apply physical and special moves next because it's a status move, and that's buffing all allies. So again, he's mostly focused on utility and the supportive side of things as a character, and that's really good, right? He's got the flinch, trap, the sand, the special moves next, the physical moves next, the super effective next for allies, and overall good, stats too. So that's not a bad kit. And then Dynamax, he's got Max Wormwind debuffing all enemy attack, and then Max Flare setting the weather to Sun. So he's also got 2 sets of weather, not only, he's got Sand as well as Sun. So that's very, very strong there too. Gives him a few more teams he can work really well with, the Sand abusers and the Sun abusers as well. All is very nice to have. So he's got pretty decent supportive utility and just utility in general at 1 out of 5. But obviously, I think his dupes are mostly going to be the valuable part of this, where he's got even better utility. I wouldn't say Raihan's an amazing character to pull for at 1 out of 5, but with dupes, legitimately is a pretty damn strong character. 2 out of 5, he gets Sandstorm Slippery Sidekicks for buffing ally evasion, being able to dodge. That's very, very nice. I honestly think this is probably one of his better notes on top of having Sand NPR. If I were to ever candy Raihan, it would probably be for this. This is a great gauntlet ability, and any stage that you can make big abuse of dodging or evading enemy attacks, you're going to be making a lot of abuse of this. This is a good node, just further adds to his supportive ability. Mind Boggler for debuffing special defense. This is even better damage enhancement on top of the physical moves, special moves next, and super effective next that he's able to apply to the team. Having the special defense debuffs on top of that's really, really good. Just more enhancement for his special partners. Sharp Entry for more self-sufficiency, because he does only buff critical hit by 2 on his trainer move, so having Sharp Entry 1 just means you don't have to run a crit support, which, depending on if you're like budgeting teams or whatever, this could be good, but most modern teams tend to have crit buffs anyway, so yeah. Twister Aggravation 2, this gives him a 60% flinch chance. It will be split between multiple enemies, so I believe 30% chance to flinch. Right, 30% chance to flinch multiple enemies is not bad as a percentage chance, but also he's got a 60% chance against single target enemies, right? So once you're down to 1 enemy, that 60% flinch chance is really good. So just further adding that utility. Again, he's a big utility-focused character. And then Team Pinpoint Entry 1 for buffing ally accuracy. This does help himself out a little bit because of the fire spin accuracy being a little bit low. Not that that's too big of a deal, but still does help out against like Latias with her evasion buffing and just any allies who need a little bit of accuracy help. Raihan does provide that too there. So good support, good debuffs, good utility, all that stuff. Raihan is he's getting better at the role. The more we go with dupes, the better he gets. 3 out of 5. He gets Sandler 5, extending the duration of Sand. Hi, Arcsuit Cynthia, wherever you are. This is Dragon types only, so yeah, but whatever. Arcsuit Cynthia, hello, you get another buff for you. And I'm kidding mostly. Raihan's not a bad partner for her, but outright, probably just better to run someone else, like Bride of Giovanni, or there's a lot of other better options, but still. Sandler, very nice if you are trying to run him with any character that needs to abuse Sand, or if you're trying to abuse Sand with him just in base because of the weather buff and atmospheric acceleration. Sandler is good for that. Propulsion on Sandstorm, he gets sync utility now. Combine this with like Head Start 1, Adrenaline, or something like that, or any other sync countdown abusing character on the team, like maybe Lucas or something with his Adrenaline and Propulsion himself. Raihan's got a lot of sync countdown coming into the team, just further enhancing his own utility. Solar Sync, making the weather sunny on the sync move. This gives him even more weather abusing with the Sandstorm and the Sun now as well. Often, he's got 2 instances with the Max move and the sync move now, so just even more weather fun. I love that. Max Flare Power Node, as well as Max Wormwind Power Nodes. He's got the Sync nodes as well on top of Interference Sync and Weather Sync up. Interference Sync is pretty easy to activate because he does have Trap. You don't have to rely just on flinching, so keep in mind the Trap is good for that, on top of whatever else is able to provide. And then Weather Sync up, and again, Interference Sync, 100% total multipliers on top of his innate multipliers of having weather conditions activated, 200% total multipliers off of his Again, like 450-ish offensive stat when weather is in play. Again, because he does get that 30% off buff to all of his stats. He's going to be also having a very solid Dragon Nuke. He's going to be very good in that role. I know someone who can vouch for that. You know, hint, hint, leave it in the comments. Anyway. So, yeah, that's great. He's got a good nuke on top of being able to do all the debuffing he has, so he's legitimately a character that is good focus on supportive utility, but also he could do a nuke. He got a nuke in his pocket too. He's not just like, who's a good tech character example? I don't know, Costume Steven. Costume Steven's got a good nuke too, but whatever. Who's mostly just focused on their, you know, enhancement of the allies and utility purposes. Unlike that, you know, Raihan's actually got good nuking potential if you do opt to pick it up. And he's also got max team smarts for more special moves next buffs. This doesn't need much else to be stated. The more special moves next buffs is very nice, right? Does help out with team damage on top of already being able to have it with the team strengthening status. So he's got a lot of opportunities for team damage enhancement, also on top of the Mind Boggler too. 4 to 5, you get Sync Damage Guard and Disarm 9. Disarm 9, we love that. More debuffs. There we go. This just helps him out even more with providing sustainability to the team, and again, just so much more utility. Disarm combined with Mind Boggler, he's able to debuff 3 different stats. This just helps out. This makes his like Legendary Gauntlet stuff really good. Like, he's got the Sand to counter Moltres on top of the flinches. He's got Disarm for offensive debuffs. Which are also good for like Latias. Only thing this guy's not really like catered to fight is just pretty much Tornadus. I actually don't want to make that judgment because I can't think of all 14 legendary areas, so I'll put a range check on confirming that status for now. Anyway, yeah, so his gimmick check's great, his utility's great. Disarm for offensive debuffs is so good. It helps the team's sustainability out quite a lot. That is awesome to have. 5 out of 5, he gets Drought Alert 3 for extending duration of Sun when it's on the field. It's not as good as Sand Alert, or it's not as long as Sand Alert, but having that Sun extension can be good if you if you need it. So that is awesome. And then he also gets Max Countdown 2, reducing Sync Countdown after using the Sync move, Max move. After using Sand Propulsion as well, Sandstorm with Propulsion, you got even more Sync Countdown there too. He's got legitimately good Sync Countdown utility, he's got good debuffing utility, he's got good weather setting utility, he's got good team enhancement with Mind Boggler for special defense debuffs and super effective next, and physical and special moves next as well off of the team status strengthening status. This guy's kit is built for so much utility. There's so much crammed into here, and it all works very, very well. He's got flinches and trap on top of that as well, so if you want to just, end up flinch locking an opponent, Raihan's good for that. The only thing Raihan really lacks, which does suck, probably for a lot of his like solo potential or just in general sustainability, is the fact he doesn't have healing. He doesn't have any form of healing that I can immediately like remember off of this grid. He doesn't, no regeneration, no like first aid or anything like that. He really does lack healing, and that does suck. But also, having his defenses be buffed as good as they are with the support EX roll does still help out his sustainability quite a lot. And in any battle where you're going to be running him with any like healer, he's going to be far, far more sustainable from that as well. And again, he applies all the debuffs, he applies his own defensive buffs, whatever else. He's going to be really sustainable too, or he has the potential to be really sustainable, with his with even just a decent enough healing partner, like friggin' a potion user like Skyla or the friggin' Lodge Lance, he's going to be decent enough with. So, yeah, still a great character to run or a great character to pick up, just for all of his utility purposes, depending on investment. So that is the Ground and Dragon High Score event rerun banner. One of the best ever for sure. Rika and Leon specifically are two very, very good characters, and Raihan with his utility and all of the things that he provides as well is still very, very strong, especially relative to his age. And I really am appreciative of this type of banner. I will be doing daily discounts, no doubt, on this banner. I will love extra copies of all 3 of these characters. My Rika and Leon are 2 out of 5. My Raihan is 1 out of 5. I would definitely appreciate a 2 out of 5 Raihan, probably the most, but I would love to get a 3 out of 5 Leon and Rika. So hey, if you're going to be, I wouldn't recommend popping multis on this with all the Arc Suit, St. Pair Scouts and all that out right now and whatever else, but this banner is legitimately valuable if you're like a big Dragon or Ground fan, or if you like these characters or whatever, or if you just like want a bunch of good characters for good rates. I guess this banner is very, very good for that. I will be doing daily discounts, no doubt. So, yeah. I'll see you all later. I hope you all enjoyed. Good luck on the Dragon and Ground High Score event. Good luck on your summons on this banner as well if you are going to be summoning. Of course, good luck on skipping as well. And, yeah, I'll see you all later. I hope you all enjoyed.